What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today. And first things first, to start it off, I did some channel rebranding, kind of change up the name, so don't worry, it's still me, but I did change up the name and the channel art, stuff like that, just to kind of personalize it to me and fit me a little bit better. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into this video. Kind of explain what I'm going to do here. So basically what I'm going to do is a overview / review of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, kind of give an extensive kind of overall in-depth review on the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to this game. I'm going to go over and split this thing up into 3 parts. So I'm going to go with the campaign first. Not too much to say about that, but I'll still talk about it. Then next, I'm going to go ahead into the multiplayer, which is going to be a longer side of the video, given that I spend my most time in there. So the next thing is going to be Warzone, which I don't really feel particularly too fond of Warzone, but still nonetheless I will go over it and review it and give what I have to say. So with that being said, there's no reason to wait. Let's just go ahead and get right into this one. Starting it off with the campaign here. First of all, I just wanted to say this campaign was beautiful. It was stunning. The visuals were great. Just these here loading screens were awesome. It gave you a really nice idea what the mission was going to be like. Just everything about this campaign was awesome. The way this campaign was laid out, it was so visceral. It was so gritty. You had you on the edge of your seat. It was amazing. Playing this campaign for the first time when it first came out, it was awesome. It was awesome. It really was. As you can see on the screen here, we got Kyle Garrick, or Gaz, and Captain Price going into the mission Clean House. This was honestly probably one of the best missions, even though it was really short. It just gave you an idea of what this campaign was really about. It kind of gave you an idea of the grittiness, kind of gave you an idea of how this campaign was going to work in terms of its realistic properties. So as we go in here, I'm not going to go overview of the whole mission. It's awesome. The visuals are awesome. Just the way that your character interacts with things is so amazing. I know that with this campaign, they're doing things, they kind of upped the technology a little bit using the motion capture, and just the lively environments that you encounter are just amazing. Going through this campaign, it wasn't a super long campaign. It wasn't like taking up all of your time. I did do this campaign within a small amount of time. It didn't take me super long. The only reason why it took me multiple days was because I wanted to kind of take a break and get into multiplayer as well. So it was an awesome game. This mission was, I want to say, back when it first came out, was one of the more controversial missions, given that this was kind of the first mission that was shown off or explained when other YouTubers were flown out to go see the campaign or just given a little sneak peek at it. So kind of gives you an idea of how claustrophobic this space was in this mission. It seems so real here, and I commend them for that. This campaign, it puts you on the edge of your seat. It felt like you were in there, and it was so awesome. Options that they kind of have you do, whether you shoot the person or not, where you kind of have to wait, it's amazing. It just brings you on the edge of your seat even more, having to make that decision making and make those sort of tough decisions. Just looking here at these visuals, just how everything looks, this game I think is on another level when it comes to how everything looks. It adds to this sort of richness of this campaign and this universe, this Modern Warfare universe, and it's amazing. And the next thing I kind of wanted to talk about was just sort of how unnerving it would be for some people. For me, I'm not that kind of person. I don't think this kind of stuff is unnerving or anything like that. I just think it adds to the realistic ability or the realistic look to the game and how it kind of would be in real life. So with that being said, I do like how they ended the campaign. It was super awesome. They kind of left it open-ended, like Alex, if he died or not. They kind of gave you an idea of the place blew up. But as we all know in movies and other things like that, if they don't actually show the death, chances are he's still alive, or it just leaves it open for them to interpret, or it leaves it open for them to say, hey, he's still alive. So I think that was really awesome how they did that. And then they reintroduced him in the multiplayer. I think it was season 3, I believe. Don't quote me there, but I believe it was season 3. So they reintroduced him into the multiplayer and just the overall sort of story in terms of the multiplayer, Warzone, stuff like that. So that was super awesome. Honestly, nothing really much else to say about the campaign. It was awesome. It was gritty, fun. It put you into the game. it felt amazing. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the next section of the video, multiplayer. Alright, diving in here to the multiplayer, there's going to be a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, mainly a lot of bad things. I will say the bad things do outweigh the good things, but nonetheless, there are still some good things that we can take from this game and hopefully reintroduce them into future games. So just to start it off, I think just the overall design, the overall look of the game is amazing. It's probably the best looking Call of Duty we've ever had. Now, the graphics, the guns, how the sounds, the gun sounds, everything just sounds so punchy, sounds right in your ear, and it sounds amazing. It feels amazing. Honestly, I don't think it could get any better. That's probably the best good thing about this game, is how everything looks. Now, it's a different story when it comes to actual game mechanics, artistic designs, stuff like that. So I just wanted to talk about the actual, I want to say, gameplay. So first off, let's just address the elephant in the room: radar. The lack of a properly working radar is probably the most controversial thing that they have done in a Call of Duty in a long time. Now, obviously, when it first came out, everyone was outraged that there was even no mini map when the game first came out. So that obviously was a reason for uproar, including me. I did not think that that was the right way to go. I just thought that it was just, it made the game a camp fest. It just did not work right. And still to this day, I still don't think it works right. I think they were going in the right direction with certain things, but they just never added those red dots when you shoot, just a traditional mini-map. So it just made for this sort of weird kind of, you didn't know where somebody was experience. And I know with previous Call of Duties, obviously they all had those red dots, so it made it a lot easier. I think having those red dots, or just the traditional mini-map, I'll just call it that, the traditional mini-map, it makes it to where you actually have to run around and you actually have to rush in order to get your kills. I wouldn't say you have to, like I just said, you don't have to rush to get your kills in a traditional minimap, but it allows you, it kind of promotes that. So you know where people are, so you want to go and kill them or go and get them off their streak, whatever they're doing. It just promotes a less campy game. And that's another thing, is map design. The map design in this game was subpar. It was far from great. It was bad. To put it lightly, it was not good. So maps like Azir Cave, maps like Grozna Raid, those maps are so, I want to say, historically bad at this point. They don't work. There's too many safe spaces. There's too many dark spots. It allows for this sort of safe area for new players, where it doesn't actually help them get better. It saves them from the better players, because the better players want to be able to see where they're going. They want to be able to predict where the spawns are going to be, and I'll get more into the spawns later. But the map design it promoted this campy game, which the minimap was already doing. It just added insult to injury. With that being said, I think the map design could have been a lot better. I do like the Treyarch style of maps, the 3-lane style. It just makes it to where it's easy to know everything on the map. It's easy to know the corners, so you don't feel like you're running and getting killed right away right when you run out somewhere, and you don't know where you got killed by, because there's so many dark spots, so many safe spaces. It makes it almost ridiculous in a sense of, all the time, at least in terms of my experience. For example, on let's say Grozna Raid, half the time I don't even know where I'm dying by, just because there's so many windows, so many safe spaces. And that's another thing too when it comes to map design, is all of Modern Warfare's original maps that they came out with, not like remakes from other Call of Duties. All of the Modern Warfare originals have so many areas where you can just hide, so many windows that you can peek out of, so many doorways. It just makes it ridiculous to where at this point, I don't know where I'm dying from. And having to check every single window, or before you run out somewhere, having to look every single which way, is just not how I think Call of Duty should be. It's an arcadey, fast-paced shooter. It should not be this campy sort of battle simulator, sort of war simulator. I don't think it was ever meant to be that way. And this idea of being a realistic game is just it's not a correct comparison. People wanting realistic in their Call of Duty, just it doesn't make for a good Call of Duty. It just makes for this boring sort of campy Call of Duty that makes it boring and makes it not fun for a lot of people. The next thing I wanted to talk about was the spawns. The spawns in this game are atrocious. I will say playing on Shipment is probably the worst showcase of that. But it's Shipment, I can almost expect that. But I almost feel like the Shipment in this game, the spawns are historically bad compared to shipments in, like, for example, World War II or just the other Modern Warfares, such as just the regular Call of Duty Modern Warfare or even Modern Warfare Remastered. I do not remember spawning and dying right away in those games, or just spawning right in front of people, or people spawning right in front of me and I just get the kill and I benefit from it. I mean, yeah, sure, it's nice when that happens to you, but when you're on the receiving end of spawning right in front of somebody and you just die right away, let me tell you, it is not fun. And then this happening over and over again, for example, playing hardpoint on Shipment. There'll be times where I'll spawn on the hardpoint multiple times in a row and just get melted by somebody just looking at the hardpoint the whole time, which I don't get how that makes sense. Another thing too is, when it comes to hardpoint on Shipment at least, is when the hardpoint is in the middle, and I don't know if they fixed this or not. They might. I kind of don't really notice it as much anymore, but at least the spawns on hardpoint on Shipment were awful, especially when the hardpoint was in the middle. Everyone would just spawn on the middle of the hardpoint, and if you were proning in the middle, you could just lay down, sit there, and just wait for people to spawn, and you'll be able to just get spawn kills right off the jump. And when it comes to just the normal maps, like for example, like Domination on, for example, say a ZRK, just stuff, any other map really, the spawns in old games, in the old Call of Duty games at least, you can sort of get map control and really spawn. I don't want to say spawn trap. You can really get the enemy team in a certain area of the map and kind of lock them there because you have map control. For example, you have A flag and you have B flag and they have C flag. When you have those two flags, or any two flags really, the enemy team should not be able to spawn on your flag. That just doesn't, unless you're pushing super far into their spawn. That makes sense. I don't want to go too in depth with all the spawn stuff, but I think everyone can vouch and say that the spawns in this game were far from great, and they were probably the worst I have seen in any Call of Duty. Another thing I wanted to talk about, which is going to be a very subjective and very opinion-based thing, is the snipers in this game. Now, I am a sniper by heart, and I love to snipe. It's the first thing I love to do in these games, is get the sniper's gold or platinum, whatever the camo is, and then I'll go for the other guns to get the mastery camo. Sniping is something I've done ever since Call of Duty 4. It's something I've always done. So seeing this game and seeing how they nerfed sniping was really disappointing and made for a really sort of sour experience, at least when the game first came out. It got better as, you know, you adapt and you sort of learn, and new snipers and new marksman rifles come out. It gets a little bit better, but still, one thing I did not like was the sniper glint. The sniper glint just tells the enemy right where you are when you're aiming in, which I think is sort of unrealistic in certain areas. Realistic for sure when it comes to maybe if you're in like direct sunlight, stuff like that, but when you're in a shaded area, you're not going to get sniper glint. So I do not think that in those certain situations, I know that's hard to sort of simulate and sort of do, but I think for sure sniper glint was a hard nerf, or at least a counterbalance to not make snipers as strong. But that's another thing, that's another opinion I have, is snipers are supposed to be strong. They're supposed to be just one-hit kills. I mean, they're snipers. They're supposed to kill you in one shot. That's the whole point of a sniper. Snipers are meant to kill you in one shot. At least, I will say, given that the game is not supposed to be realistic, like I said before, hitting someone in the foot with a sniper, I can see a hit marker there. Hitting someone in the leg, alright, I can see a hit marker. But when it comes to hitting someone in just the torso in general, should not be a hit marker in my opinion at all. Hitting them from at least waist up should always be a one-hit kill, but that's just me. That's just a sniper in me that always thinks that, just because I always get annoying hit markers. Those things are the death of me. Another thing about this game that I think is particularly not so good is the time to kill. The time to kill in this game is ridiculously fast. I am getting melted faster in this Call of Duty than I ever have in any other Call of Duty. I barely even have a chance. For example, if I'm getting shot and I'm trying to go behind a corner to kind of save myself, I die before I even have a chance to go around the corner, and that's even if I'm like right next to a corner. It's almost ridiculous. I don't know if that's the time to kill in general, or if that's just the guns are all just dialed up to 100 in terms of balance. The damage, that's another thing too, is the guns do a lot of damage. All of the guns in this game hit super hard, with the exception of, yes, a few guns, but that just makes for the time to kill in this game to be absolutely ridiculously fast. It's unnecessarily fast, really, when you look at games such as, for example, Black Ops 4, or even just really any other Call of Duty for that matter. I feel like this game's time to kill is faster than any other Call of Duty, in my opinion. I guess that's not really an opinion thing, but just in recent memory, it feels like this game's time to kill is so much faster, which is another thing that kind of knocks the game down for me. Another thing too that I would say is not as bad, but I just wish they had more original maps. Now, with how the game started and how the game launched, the maps were terrible. Their maps were terrible that they came out with, which is why I think that they did come off a lot of remakes, was because they kind of had to save themselves in terms of, you know, the map design, because nobody likes the maps that they designed, so they had to come out with previous versions that were already loved by fans. Now, I believe they did get better when it comes to that side of things. There were some maps that were definitely better, like Shoot House, for example. Shoot House is a good one. They did come out early in the life cycle, but that is an example of, objectively, I think, a pretty good map when it comes to at least the standards for this game. Now, I don't want to dive too in detail with this because there is other things that I have to go over, but just those are kind of the overall sort of bad things that I did not like in this game, or that I thought maybe should change or do something with. It was kind of ridiculous at that point when it comes to, I don't know, just things like the spawns and the balance and just kind of everything, all that in general. So the next thing I wanted to move on to was sort of the good things that I liked in this game and what I thought should be saved or sort of reiterated in future Call of Duties. I think one thing that really should be in a Call of Duty is prestige mode, and obviously this game strayed away from that, and they did a seasonal ranking system, which I think is not something that should be in a Call of Duty. Seasonal rankings do not fit right. They do not, it takes away the grindy aspect of a game, or a leveling up aspect of a game, and it just makes it to where, you know, what's the point of getting to level 155 when I'm just going to be reset in a few months anyway, or in 2 months anyway. So it kind of takes away the meaning of XP and that grindy aspect of the game. Like, I remember back in old Call of Duties, not even old Call of Duties, just a year ago, or I guess 2 years ago at this point, Black Ops 4 or Black Ops 3 or any other Call of Duty, I loved grinding prestige mode. I would try to race my friends all the way until I would stay up so late at night, especially when it comes to when I was in school, being in Thanksgiving break. It made for some fun nights, racing to like 10 prestige, and then obviously going into master as well. But honestly, if you don't want to lose your guns, your camos, or anything like that, just don't prestige. It's really not that hard. Now, for the people that don't really care about losing their camos, or they want a prestige, they value prestige more than their camos, or not necessarily camos, but their guns and attachments, they can prestige. Now, I think that in Cold War, obviously there's stuff that already came out on what they're going to do, but I feel like what should be done is they have this sort of seasonal ranking where you can still do seasonal challenges and stuff like that, but the actual leveling system is prestige mode, and you can get to 10 prestige or whatever prestige they have you go to, and then of course your master levels, you know, getting to level 1000. So both can exist in a game. It's just finding that balance of what seasonal content there can be. The certain grindiness of this game in terms of the camos and the mastery camos and stuff like that, it was probably the longest grind of my life. It was the longest time it's taken me to unlock a mastery camo, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, because you want a grindy camo, a super you want the mastery camo to be a super grindy camo. But for example, like the mounting kills were ridiculous. It just made for people playing campy, like the game was promoting. It just made it to where, oh, there's Timmy sitting in a corner camping in some random spot on the map, and I get punished for trying to push. So that's another thing I didn't like about the game. That's sort of like a nitpicky thing, but I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, especially the mounting aspect. It got super annoying over time, and I'm glad it's not returning to Cold War. Alright, now actually onto the good things about this game are honestly the frequent updates. The frequent updates were great. Every week having new playlists and stuff like that were great. But one thing that I thought they should have done was some of the fan favorite playlists. They should have just kept all around, kept them all the time. Because sometimes certain weeks they bring in certain game modes that I wouldn't even want to touch at all. Honestly, I didn't even want to play the game, just because, or at least for that week, just because the game modes that they came out with were just not my cup of tea, did not fit right, and they were just kind of boring, honestly. So I was just like, I'm not really playing this right now. There are many more things that I would say I didn't like when I think about it now, but I'm not going to go super in depth on everything just because I don't want this video to be super long. Let's just say this game, it had its highs, it had its lows, it had definitely a lot more lows, but still, nonetheless, it was a game that brought back the life in Call of Duty, I will say. It made people want to play this game again. Honestly, playing Search and Destroy, if I knew you guys play Search and Destroy, that mode is toxic when it comes to the game chat. Everyone's talking trash. Everyone's trying their hardest. Everyone wants to be the most. They want to exploit everything they can. They want to win. Of course, game chat, your typical game chat like back in the day, toxic. It is toxic, man. Being in there is crazy. It makes for some super funny moments though, especially when you're playing with all of your friends. It's super fun. That part of the game is awesome. I love that part. Just the fact that it almost seemed like the Call of Duty community was revived, given that it had been on a downslope for quite a few years now. Alright, the next thing I wanted to jump into was Warzone. Now, just a little disclaimer, honestly, I did not play Warzone that much during this year. I'm not a big fan of Battle Royales, so this part of the video isn't going to be particularly long. I'm just going to give my quick thoughts on it and go from there. So I think Warzone as a whole for Call of Duty in general is a generally good thing, given that it is free, it is accessible. It introduces a lot more people to Call of Duty, which is great. It kind of gives people that free Call of Duty experience where, yes, it's a Battle Royale, but it's Call of Duty Battle Royale. So if they like it, it kind of gives them that incentive to say, hey, maybe I should go check out the multiplayer, which some of them would probably be disappointed, but still, nonetheless, it does provide you that option. I also like the way they did, like, for example, the LTMs, like the limited time modes, sort of events, like the Halloween event that just happened. That was good stuff. That was cool stuff. It made for some really good gameplay. Like here now that you see is a Zombie Royale, which is honestly, it's a nice little take on a nice little fun take on Warzone, or on just on the Battle Royale in general. Given that I don't really play Warzone that much, I can't really say what's really particularly bad or good about it, but I will say just there's certain moments where you're like, like how did he kill me, or stuff like that. Nothing really too much, but as far as my opinion on it, it's fine. It's fine. It's probably one of the better Battle Royales out there right now, given that Fortnite is irrelevant now and no one really plays it. This is probably the best Battle Royale on the market right now, and given that it's free, it's accessible, it makes for a fun experience, a fun Call of Duty experience that everyone can enjoy. Now, just as a general overview, I think that this game definitely could have done a lot better, at least in my opinion, but given what we got and how everything turned out and how everything went, I think objectively speaking, it was one of the better Call of Duties we have had in a while. The campaign, super visceral, super gritty, on the edge of your seat. It was an amazing campaign, super fun. Multiplayer is where things get a little bit more tricky, but still, nonetheless, the multiplayer experience, I would say it's bearable. It's not like I can't play multiplayer, because obviously that's the only thing I really played, but there's just certain things that I wish were better, and I played it a lot only because it was kind of the only game out that was really, honestly, that everyone was playing. So honestly, I'm pretty loyal to Call of Duty, so I would have played it anyway, but I think given that the multiplayer was hit or miss for some people, I think would really sort of knock the multiplayer down a little bit. Certain artistic designs, certain mechanical designs, it did not make for a fun experience. Now, I think adding elements from past Call of Duties, just in terms of like mini-maps, stuff like that, spawns, I think if those were on par with everything else, I think that this game would probably be one of the better Call of Duties in a very, very long time. I don't think anything's going to get better than the old Call of Duties. I don't know, maybe that's just me being biased just because I'm kind of an old head when it comes to Call of Duty. I've been playing it for a very long time. But this game, I would say, was a very average Call of Duty game. It wasn't particularly great. I would say it's right in the middle of the pack. One of the better Call of Duties we've had in a while, but I guess that's not really saying much given that Call of Duty for the past few years has kind of been stale and kind of dropped off. So I think this game was a shot in the arm for Call of Duty fans, but obviously there's more room for improvement, more ways that they can improve things, which I really hope extends into Cold War, which is coming out here in about a week or so. So with that being said, I think that's all I have to say on this game. Make sure to stick it here on the channel for Cold War content and other games as well. I intend to post so much more content. A lot of things coming up in the pipeline, especially with the PS5 coming out. I'll be sure to do an unboxing of that. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, enjoyed my thoughts on this game. I know it's probably pretty rough in terms of the commentary. This is kind of my first time doing this sort of thing, so hopefully it doesn't come out too bad, but I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you liked it, leave a like, go ahead and subscribe, and I will be back soon with another video. Got the face cam coming in soon, so anticipate that. I got some ideas for that. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned. Peace out.